Hello. Shuffle. Yeah, G's. I'm gonna have to be quick with this one because it's getting on. As you can see, you see the light in that corner there. Sun's just gone down below the houses, so the light's going to be going pretty quick. But yeah, I actually missed out a game from the Fs. I forgot it was just like a sort of a giveaway version of Formula One '99 that was given away at this sort of Dublin sort of Sony PlayStation conference from '99. So, but it's not a proper part of my collection. But I think it probably is. Well, I hesitate to use the word, the rarest thing I've got. But yeah, I can't be asked. I'm not gonna. I was going to include it in this, but you know, a little bit of OCD stops me doing that. Don't want an F in the G's. So here we are, all the G's. So a nice little selection here actually. There's more games. There's 17, and there's sort of a nice sort of range of sort of individual titles. Quite a lot of sort of variation as well. But like I said, I'm gonna have to crack on with these. Doing pretty quick. Some pretty good stuff in here actually. This one. Right. Starting off with Alarians. Right. I suppose you go as far as say this is sort of like a sort of along the lines of a Resident Evil type game, sort of fixed camera angles, and you know, like you look at this kid here. He's called Rion, and the Galarians are the main bad people for the game. They're like these I suppose sort of these beings with telekinetic powers who are threatening the Earth, I think. And Rion is Earth's only hope, and he's sort of been experimented on by the scientists, and essentially you start the game. You're sort of strapped to a table, and using your telekinetic powers, you break yourself free, and the the scientists start attacking you. Is a bit weird, a bit sort of comes out of the blue slightly. Now, basically, yeah, like I said, it's sort of similar, has a similar feel to Resident Evil. Your main attack power, or your attack power, is basically your mind, and you augment it with chemicals. You can pick up chemicals, and like you start off the game with 2 attacks, but there's like the first one is it's basically you can create like a it's sort of like an energy pulse sort of around you. You can sort of push people back, and then you also, I think the other one is it's sort of flame attack. So yeah, but then you can get a whole load of others throughout the game. But the problem is that the more you use it, you build up this meter in the middle because your powers are unstable. And once you've used your powers too much, you sort of become sort of a your powers become unstable. So I've forgotten what the term they use is, but what the fuck is it? No, but the thing is, all you can do is you lose control of your powers, and essentially you can't really do anything other than you have to inject yourself with this thing that not a stimulant. It's the opposite of a stimulant. It calms down your powers, so you can regain control over them. While you're out of control, all you can do is walk around, and anybody who sort of comes near you dies automatically, so in one go. So in a way, that's good, but then your health drains because there's a little health bar. And basically, so you have to inject yourself with this certain chemical, which helps you regain control. So otherwise you just die. It doesn't really tell you that at the beginning, though. I had to work that out. It's a bit slightly confusing, and the combat was a bit confusing at the beginning because the manual was a bit iffy. And there's no sort of on-screen hints or anything about the controls. So, yeah, and the actual game's sort of along the same format as like Resident Evil. You sort of items and keys and things to gain access to different rooms and stuff like that. But it's actually a really good game. I really enjoy it. It's on 3 discs, and yeah, it's called Galarians. I think it's by ASCII. Oh, I've just read that. That's just me reading the cover. Pardon me. Oh, I'm fighting against the light here. Right, let's crack on. Darius, a really nice shooter. fish-based shooter. I mean, I'm not a fan of fish, so that puts me off slightly. I mean, when a fish cool, sharks are cool, but otherwise fish aren't cool, are they? Fish are weird. Which, why would you make a fish-based shoot 'em up? I don't know. It's a good game though. Just fish-based. It's weird. No, yeah. It's. I think there's a version of this on Tay Legends 2 on the PS2, but no, really good shooter. It was Darius. Yeah, I'm not much more to say about that. It's good. I recommend that one. I've got this one's sort of slightly more interesting. It's called Ghost in the Shell. I actually bought this. This was my best ever eBay bargain because it was a buy it now. And every so often, you go on eBay and you check the completed listings, and you see someone who's bought something for just a buy it now bargain, just a random bargain. Oh, you bastard! You think if only I'd got there first. And this is the only time that's ever happened to me because I got it for £3.50, and at the time they were probably sort of £20 plus. Now it's probably around about £20. It's a little bit cheaper than it used to be for some reason, but no, this is a really good game. It's essentially not third person. You're Kusanagi, Kusanagi, and she's inside a mech, and I think it's along the same sort of storyline as sort of like the Ghost in the Shell anime. But you're in this mech, and you have to drive around and sort of you can. It's like a sort of third person a shooter really. Third person, as in you're in a mech, but really fast paced, and the controls are really fluid, which actually took me by surprise because you can't always say that about mech games, but you can slide, you can strafe. The strafing's really natural. The game's interspersed with some really nice anime cutscenes, so that's probably why it goes for sort of a decent amount of money. But like I said, it's a bit cheaper now than it used to be. But Ghost in the Shell. What else can I say about it? You can lock onto targets. You can hold down the fire button and it locks on. You can jump. Probably one of the main draws, main draws of the game, is that you can run up walls, which is really good. Obviously, it adds sort of a really nice extra element to the game. But also, if you do it inadvertently by mistake, it does sort of like spin you out slightly. You get sort of disorientated because you have to sort of reorientate yourself. But in the second level, you're inside a sewer, so you can go right up sort of up the walls and onto the ceiling, and so you have to sort of orientate. You have to try and work out where you are if you do it sort of inadvertently. But no, Ghost in the Shell, really good game. A light gun shooter, Ghoul Panic. Essentially, it's point blank, but with a narrative. And it's sort of like a haunted house narrative. Obviously, it's not a scary haunted house, as you can tell by the nice psychedelic colour scheme. But no, it's a good game. But as I said, it's point blank with sort of like a scary haunted house storyline. But my preference, because the games are along the same lines, my preference is for point blank because I think I prefer that sort of the random nature. You don't necessarily know the sorts of games you're going to be playing. They just it tells you. Then you have to adjust. Whereas this one, you've got essentially they've all got the same theme, but it's still a good game. It's still a game. It's just imagine point blank, but with haunted house storyline narrative to link all the games together, all the individual games. And first of 4 series I've got in this little lot. G-Police and G-Police Weapons of Justice. I've played about an hour of this, so I'm not going to talk too much about it. This one here was one I had originally, so it's sort of like quite a lot of nostalgia with this. This one it's basically you have these. They're not helicopters, but they're like helicopters without rotor blades. And it's a Psygnosis game, and you're a future police in a sort of a future like a Blade Runner style future metropolis type thing. Yeah, and it's like because being a PS1, it's got like a sort of limited draw distance, But like Silent Hill, this probably turns it into a virtue because like Silent Hill does, it has the fog, and this is similar. It has a similar sort of foggy sort of atmosphere in this future metropolis. But essentially it's you're a gunship and you have to take out bad dudes, and I really like it. It's a good game. It's Signosis, and I think I said about Colony Wars, Signosis generally pretty reliable. This one, the variation of this one is that you get to control different sorts of vehicles. I mean, you get to control a little mech. It's not just the gunship. You get to control a mech and sort of like a car type thing, tank thing. Yeah. But so, like I said, I won't sort of say too much more. But this is the one I've got the most experience of, and I got rid of it at one point. And then this is one I've sort of got back ever since I've been collecting. But yeah, it's G-Police and G-Police Weapons of Justice. I am going quick. The light seems to be okay at the moment, but a shooter, a nice little shooter. One of those sorts of shooters that seems to come under various names depending on what console you play it on. It's Gekio Shooting King by Natsumi, otherwise known as Shenryu. I suppose that would be on the Saturn, would it be? Someone could tell me who knows their Japanese shooters. Or maybe the PS1, it might be Shenryu on the PS1. But it does actually say, the title screen does actually say Shenryu when you boot it up. Yeah, it feels a lot like, actually, yeah, you can get it on Steel Dragon X. You get Steel Dragon X on the PS2, but then there's a second game, which is actually a version of this. But the main thing sort of for this one, other than the actual game, the reason why you should pick this version over the others is because there's all these really nice extras. There's some wacky extras which I like. It's almost as if they're taking the piss out of their game. It's essentially the full game, but with all these sort of bizarre sort of themes to them. Like there's a comical version of the game where all the music and the explosions are taken out and replaced with a weird laughter track and like weird sort of clown squelchy noise and stuff like that. It's really odd. It's funny though, but you still have the sound of the ship and the firing sort of sounds. But the actual game itself is pretty good. It reminds me of Raiden. I don't know if anybody can tell me if there's any connection between this and Raiden, because the power ups are similar, and it's all the sort of bonus sort of system systems. You collect these little weird candle things. I don't really know. But no, what else is there? There's this one called No Mercy mode, which is which is really funny. Really made me laugh because I didn't really know what was happening. No Mercy mode is essentially the enemy's bullets are like lightning quick, and you can barely see them, so you have to keep on the move. There's one called Slow mode. Everything's slowed right down, but for some reason, it comes across as like a really slow bullet hell shooter. Also, for some reason, the sound effects are like a sort of haunted house sound effects, really sort of gothic and weird, in the same way that they take out the original sound effects. Really odd, but funny. What's the other one? And ancient mode, which is basically there's like a sepia tone and like it's like an effect, like it's an old style sort of black and white film, but sort of sepia tone black and white film. Still the same music, but slightly muffled as well. It's odd. Really odd. I mean, when it comes to the actual game, like I said, you can play it on Steel Dragon X compilation or with the Steel Dragon X on the PS2. So if you're only interested in the actual game itself, that's probably the one to go for, because that one's just peanuts, probably about sort of £1 or something. This one's slightly more expensive, probably. It's probably because it doesn't pop up so much, and it probably costs you about 15 quid, maybe 20, don't know. But I think there's actually an unlockable game which is it's basically looks like an LCD shooter on like an LCD, like maybe the Game Boy or something. It's really odd, but there's no mention of it, because I'm sure I've seen it in videos, but there's no mention of it in the manual, and I think it's unlockable because it's not readily selectable straight away, but. Gekio Shooting King. It's good actually. One of the best RPGs on the PS1, aside from the best non-Final Fantasy RPGs on the PS1, called Grandia. Anime-based RPG. starts off with a beautiful, really, I love opening, sort of anime-based opening, sort of orchestral title sequences. And this has got a really good one. Basically, you're this main character called, what's his name? It's something about Justin. I was thinking Ash, but that's Pokemon, isn't it? I think Ash. Yeah, it's an RPG. Turn-based battles, although the actual battle system, there's no random encounters, which will be a good thing for some people. It's the main. It's generally sort of isometric style, forced perspective, and you can run away from enemies when you're out and about, which is a bonus. But during the actual battles, they're essentially turn-based, or you have to wait for sort of your turn. Yeah, so that would be turn-based, wouldn't it? Oh shit! I can see the lights failing, and see if that's made any difference whatsoever. No. Sort of during the actual battles, you don't line up and you do like you do in sort of traditional RPGs. Everybody sort of gets mixed in together. But it's a nice, interesting storyline. I can't remember what's the storyline. No, I won't try and sort of remember it, because otherwise I've got to be quick, and I say, Grandia. Slightly sort of maybe showing its age in the way that it's quite sort of pixelated, but I think that would probably clean up if you play it on a PS3. I don't know, would it be? Probably. I'm not sure. But yeah, Grandia. Watch it at least, if anything, for the opening title sequence. It's great. Play it. No, it is a really good game. Really good. Like I said, probably one of the best non-Final Fantasy RPGs on the PS1. Right. Another series here. We've got Grand Theft Auto, Grand Theft Auto 2, and Grand Theft Auto London. Special edition. This is the only one I've played really to an extent. These, like I said, sort of like I've had a sort of sampler session of these two. I had this one when I was at university, and I can remember really wanting it, because when I had my Amstrad, I always remember wanting to play a game called APB, which is that sort of perspective. That's that top-down, like a police car, or it's also like sort of the opposite, I think, APB. And I thought it might be that sort of game, but it's obviously nothing like that. And it's great. It's Grand Theft Auto. It's interesting to see where the actual where the series started. And these are just sort of extensions on this one. These are all complete. This one's a standalone. I think there's another version we can get where you actually have to have itchy lip. You have to have the original. This one, number one. But this one's a standalone. You can play it on its own. This one you can get with another cover, but I like this one because it's retro and it goes with the other one. So. It's Grand Theft Auto. So yes, right. Another series, Gran Turismo 1 and 2. What can I say about Gran Turismo? It's a real driving simulator. That's essentially what they are, real driving simulator. If you like driving games on the PS1, this is the one to go for. I can remember when I first played this, just hating the fact, like Driver, that you had to do a test before you could actually get into the game proper. That irritated the hell out of me. You had to get your licenses. I suppose that's all part of the sort of the simulation sort of type sort of game, but still, it's just a ball ache. You just want to get out there and drive all the really good cars. But it took me years. Not years, that's an exaggeration, but it took me a long time, and it got on my tits. You sometimes simulations are a good thing. Other times you just want them to piss off. You just want to bloody play the game. So there you go. Gran Turismo and Gran Turismo 2. Everybody knows Grand Theft Auto and Gran Turismo, don't they? Yeah. Right. Oh, those are 2 out of order. Gundam Battle Assault and Gundam Battle Assault 2. 2 mech fighters, 2 mech one-on-one fighters, 2D fighters. Although this one's actually got 3D backgrounds. I do enjoy them. I do really enjoy them. Well, it's sort of the main downside. I'm trying to hold them up. The main downside is that I think it's something that robot fighters are always going to suffer from because they're robots, and you have to articulate them robots. They have to move like robots. That naturally doesn't lend itself to fighters because they have to move in a mechanical way. I think with fighters, you really want your characters to move sort of fluidly and quickly, whereas it's like Rise of the Robots. They're stunted and they move like robots, and that doesn't lend itself to fighters, does it? And this suffers from that. Naturally, something that if you otherwise, if you articulate them in a different way, they become humans and they're not robots anymore. But they look beautiful. The characters are huge, and they're animated, and animated. The actual animation of the characters is stunning. It's just, if anything, they take up too much space because they're huge on the screen, and it's each part of the robot is really fluidly animated, and it's really impressive. But then again, they still move like robots, and they're stunted, and I think this one maybe the sequel addresses that slightly. It moves slightly faster, and I think the actual moves are slightly more. It's slightly faster. The moves are more fluid, and they're more spectacular, like you'd expect from one-on-one fighters nowadays, especially 2D one-on-one fighters. But still, it suffers slightly from that sort of the restrictions you get from the fact that you're fighting with mechs, robots, essentially. But I don't really know Gundam at all, the Gundam anime, but obviously it follows one of the storylines, or it follows the main character and sort of a load of the Gundam characters. So if you know Gundam, then you'll recognise the characters in them, and especially in this one, there's a lot to choose from. I think there's 10 in this one, or maybe 12, and a few more to choose from in this one. But preference probably for number 2, but like I said, I do enjoy them, but you have to accept that they're not going to be the most fluid fighters. But still, one is a fluid fighter, and I don't really understand why it doesn't get as much love. It's Guilty Gear. This is peanuts. This game, you can get on eBay for dirt cheap, and it's really good. I don't really understand why Guilty Gear isn't necessarily held in such high esteem, or why all the games are so cheap. It's strange. I don't really get it because they're so playable, and I like the characters in it. The characters are really nicely realised, and they're all nicely distinct. But it's animated beautifully. I don't think there's missing frames of animation. I mean, compare it to things like Marvel superheroes. You can definitely see the difference. And it's maybe slightly easy because it goes easy on me, and which is probably not good for me because I don't learn. If something's going to go easy on me, I'm not going to learn anything. So I could get through a good chunk of this game just sort of like bashing the buttons. But yeah, it's spectacular. I think that's probably sort of Guilty Gear's sort of calling card, isn't it? Sort of the spectacular action. But yeah, Guilty Gear. Dirt cheap, I suppose, because there's no actual license. It's just, with something like the Marvel games, there's the Marvel license, so you can have the fan base from Marvel are going to maybe sort of artificially increase the value, make it more collectible, whereas Guilty Gear doesn't have that. Or does it? Is there anime? Maybe? I don't know. Someone might be able to tell me. But it's Guilty Gear. Really good game. It's a really worthy one-on-one fighter on the PS1. excuse me, I've got my pile. It's going to fall off. Finally, it's not actually as long as I thought it'd be. That's okay. Finally, really basic RPG, Guardians Crusade. Yeah, not played a lot of this. Given it a good sort of functory, sort of good few hours. It's naive. It's really basic. It's almost like an RPG aimed at kids, purely just for the way it is. Again, like Grandia, the environments are all sort of isometric, quite sort of strictly isometric as well, to the point where you have to rotate the camera a lot just to see the doors, the buildings and stuff like that, which is a bit annoying. But what's the storyline? I don't know. The opening title sequence doesn't really give much away because it's all sort of like mute. There's no dialogue or anything, but it's naive. It's definitely naive and really basic. Combat's basic. You just pick attack, and then it attacks. That's it. Actually, like Grandia, you can avoid combat, but I think the enemies are quite difficult to run away from. You can run, but they tend to sort of home in on you. But Guardian Crusade, what can I tell you about it? It's sort of like an entry level RPG because it's quite endearing. It's naive, endearing in its naivety. It won't set the world alight. I mean, entry level RPG. That's probably about it. Won't set the world alight, but if you're an RPG completist and you want all the RPGs on the PS1, it won't be a waste of your money. Just don't expect something really complex with sort of lots of adult themes and depth. I mean, it's got like a little weird sort of character who looks like George from Rainbow, but with wings. It does look a lot like George from Rainbow, actually. The actual art style is not the most attractive. The main character's got these really weird big eyes, which is a bit odd. But yeah, it's actually the characters are all polygons rather than sprites on 3D backgrounds. So that's okay. I mean, yeah, like I said, it's okay. So it's worth your money if you're RPG completist. And maybe if you're looking to get into RPGs, it might be worth your while playing. But you're sort of starting off pretty low, and it might, in one sense, it will go easy on you, but in the other sense, it sort of might colour your judgment against sort of other RPGs. But yeah, right. Before 30 minutes, wow, that's quicker than the last one. I was trying to whiz through them, and I hope that didn't show. I know I didn't speak anywhere near as much depth as I would like to, but then if I'd done that, we would have been here for years, wouldn't we? So. What's next? That was G. H. Actually, the next few, H and I especially, there's only 3 games, so they'll be quicker. J and K, there's 5 and 6, so they shouldn't be too long, but still. This was 17, so those the next few episodes will be quicker, so you can look out for those. I'll probably do at least H and I in the same day and maybe upload them the same day because they'll only be short. But hope you're enjoying these. Thanks for watching. And yeah, look out for the next episodes. See you later. Thanks for watching.